Hello, salutations, everyone.
What's up, everyone?
It is us. It is me, Littyyy Bro Flacko, my partner in crime here, Holden Stephan Roy. Say hi, Holden.
Hi, Holden.
We are the Perspectives Pod. Well, I don't know if we're pod. I don't subscribe to the idea of pod, but we have like pod in our title on Instagram. So like, I'll say pod, but like
We're
Perspective
perspectives.
Show. This is the Perspective Show. And today our guest is nobody else other than the infamous, fantastic, multifaceted, true artist in every sense of the word, Uriel J. Winfree III, sir.
Love it. It is amazing
What
to
up?
have you here, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys thinking of me. Thank you. I really
No,
appreciate
we appreciate you taking the time to like sit with us, bro. For real, this is an absolute pleasure. The way that the show opens up usually is I give like a little bit of background on like where me and Holden like became like a couple, right? We're a couple, buddy. We're a
Yeah.
couple,
Yeah.
like you know. When I was working on that Littyyy Bros project last year, right? The engineer for the project was well, I mean, the engineer at the sessions was like my brother Jess, who like is in the group and he engineers, but like we sent the project to be like mixed with the homie Merker Miyagi on Facebook of Merker Studios in Montreal. And Merker might as well be like a New Yorker. Yuri, you're gonna be able to relate to this as a like transplanted New Yorker who's official as fuck. That's like a stamp cosign that I'm absolutely standing by. I'll like fight for that one. He's like kind of like a New Yorker in a sense, right? Where like he works with a lot of artists, right? Like as an engineer, but like he never shares their music, right? Because like then once you start sharing one motherfucker's music, you gotta share everybody's music. And he doesn't want to do that because he's like, I don't co-sign all these motherfuckers I'm recording. I'm just getting paid. What the fuck, But he shared our shit, and he didn't just share our shit. Like he shared it with the like, like Uber cosign of like, yo, what was it, Holden? Like if it like I want to party with the
No, it
Littyyy
was something
Bros
along
type
the
shit.
lines of this is the closest I've been to, like, I've never really done this, but this is the closest I imagine it is to be partying all night in New York City, getting home faded kind of vibes. And then you click the video,
Bang.
and I agree.
And it's the Littyyy
It
Bros.
was, it was,
And it's the Littyyy
it's
Bros.
amazing.
And so Holden was already online doing like reviews, album reviews, and doing interviews and stuff like that. And he wanted to review our shit. He reviewed our shit, and then when he reviewed it, um, I immediately like was like, "Yeah, it's goody. Let's do an interview." You know what I mean? He was like, "Yeah, I was gonna ask you to do an interview, so absolutely, let's do it." We did an interview, and bro, when I did that interview, Yuri, I felt like I fucking went to therapy, bro. Like I was like, "Yo, this." Why have I never done an interview where like I got asked these questions that are not the typical like when did you fall in love with hip hop? You know what I mean? Type of shit. Like and so immediately as a typical New Yorker that I am, right? What do you do when you get up on some dope shit? You're like, yo, gotta put the homies on. Gotta put the homies on. So I was like, yo, Holden, let's do like a series together and I'll bring some interview subjects. And it's been like a fantastic fucking ride if I, say so myself. Like it's been great getting to know my friends even better than right like because you can have friendship with someone for years and it feels like sometimes you just don't talk about certain things like I guess like childhood and things like that. And so it's been really great getting to know like the homies even better. And so Holden usually sets it off with like his own question, but like I've been cutting that off and doing like why don't you tell the people who you are, where you're from, and why don't you include where your parents are from?
Okay. I am Uriel J. Winfree III. I was born in San Jose, California. Bay Area, uh, Silicon Valley. My mom is from Trinidad and Tobago, and my dad is from Richmond, Virginia, um, which would make me. My roots definitely come from Richmond, Virginia, old slave roots, and also Powhatan Indian, Native
Mm-hmm.
American roots on that side of my father's side. And on my mom's side, I'm straight up Coolie, West Indian boy.
West Indian boy.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
West Indian boy.
Which is why
um,
you've done so well in New York City.
yeah, I think that's probably one of the main reasons why, just because of my heritage and, the Trinidadian thing.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, I've been in New York City for going on. This will be my 12th year, and I just been going strong. It's not an easy thing.
Nah, not
I've
easy at
gobbled,
all.
I've been gobbled up, spit out a couple of times. So
But
yeah,
that's what makes you a true New Yorker now, right? Because that's
yeah,
what New York is. New York is meant to chew people up and spit them the fuck out. Like that's what this city is built as. Like people think it's that they're all gonna be Frank Sinatra when they get here. And they all think that they're gonna be like, if I can make it here, then I can make it anywhere. And it's like, no, bitch. New York
bitch.
is like, nom, 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 and it spits you out. But the true New Yorker shows their resolve by stepping the fuck up in that spit the fuck out in the downtroddenness.
Yeah,
That's when you establish your
you
real New
are.
Yorkerness. It's being
Facts.
able to face that adversity, face those downfalls, face those, adversities, and be able to like dust yourself off, get back up, and ride again.
I've seen a lot of these transplants here in New York, especially during the pandemic. They just left. Like,
Yeah, they did.
they just fucking left. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, if you like, you can't leave where you. Nah, this is where I live. This is where I'm holding it down. So I'm a New Yorker.
I
Mhm.
respect that. I
Dual citizenship. You have dual
Yeah,
citizenship.
I got dual citizenship.
Alright, but we gotta talk about the story of Uriel J. Winfree III, because that's the most important part of this whole thing, is learning about you in a lot of detail. And we do have a bit of a good question to get the ball rolling. It's a bit of a story, and when it lands, you can kind of take it in whatever direction you so choose to take it. It starts with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes, and she's got her phone, and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. The I got a feeling, ooh. And she's vibing, she's doing her thing, she's dancing, she's washing the dishes, and I'm looking at her, and I start thinking about this song, right? Because, like, this song is now chores music. It was this epiphany I had. Like, this is the exercise music. The shit's kind of boring, so I need to go to a happy place kind of vibe so you get your energy going on, which I was like, that's super nifty, because I can remember about 10 years ago how we were all up inside of the clubs dancing to the same very song, getting a little drunk, trying to have a completely different vibe. The song doesn't really change, but everything that surrounds the song kind of changed and evolved with us. So it went from being party music to like chores or exercise music. And I was like, that's a super like fascinating phenomenon, how the purpose of a song in people's life can just evolve as time goes on. And then if music's not static and it's on this kind of like journey, then it got me thinking just about how it all just changes. And then I was like, so all of them Cardi B's and stuff right now, these people who are clubbing, they're just gonna like grow up and be doing dishes and chores and stuff to Cardi B down the line. And then as I talked this question a bunch, people were like, nah, you got it twisted. I'm doing chores to Cardi B right now. And I realized that it's more we in our lives treat this kind of music different as we evolve and whatnot. And that's because we're all on journeys. The musical journeys of ourselves are kind of like that. They change over time and our priorities and whatnot. So that got me thinking about like my own musical journeys and my own life and whatnot. And how when we talk about, getting into art or when we got into music or anything related to that topic, it always starts like this adolescent phase when we form our identities and we start attaching ourselves to things, and that's basically when everybody's story starts. But that's not when anybody's story starts, because it all starts when you're born, at the very beginning. And music is one of those things, especially depending on some of where your background is at. It's just always around. It's just such an ethereal part of the world. The radios, the thises and that's. Like, I can remember vividly being super young, like 4 or 5 years old, and my dad's got these gray boxes, this amplifier and the radio and the tape deck and then this, and they're all put together with wires, and they're going out to these speakers all across the room, and he's busting his Led Zeppelin tapes during the days and whatever else. At night, there would be like the 90s dance music and the technos and whatnot. My mom's, it was like discos and musicals and crap that I wasn't as into, but it was still vibes. At Christmas time, we had these EDM.
Watch how you talk about your mom.
I don't like her musical taste. It is what it is. She's a wonderful lady. Her musical taste is what it is. But at the end of the day, Christmas time, we had this like EDM remix Christmas song album. That's the only time we ever heard it. Christmas Day, boom. So it's like music kind of has this thing all across our memories and our lives and whatnot. And so the journey of us as artists and musical people and whatnot starts so much earlier than we normally talk about. So given you're in California and whatnot, I was at this time of the story, I was hoping you could run us back to as early as you could remember and describe a little bit what it sounded like to be you, what it was like to, you know, just the technologies and the vibes and everything before you had any control over any of it.
I grew up in a household full of music. My father, he was a jazz singer. So jazz standards, listening to him practice, going to his shows. Early as I can remember, playing guitar with him. I had a guitar, he had one, I would play with him. As far as I can remember is like one.
Wow.
I just remember listening to soca. I have a lot of soca background, a lot of dance hall, reggae from my mom's, side. And then there's just like my older brothers and sisters would always be putting me up onto like the Fat Boys. I grew up like beatboxing, so that was like major influence was the Fat Boys, Heavy D, shit like that.
Hold on, so
Roxanne, and
but in the middle,
just like
you beatboxed
like
and
that.
Played guitar at like that young?
Yeah. I was always
That's crazy.
With me and my dad just sitting in the kitchen with the guitar. That's like I grew up learning jazz standards. I grew up just listening to I had a lot of time on my hands too, growing up by myself. My brothers and sisters weren't always around and my family was kind of spread out. So I would have a lot of time by myself in the closets, like looking through music and records and old pictures and just like, exploring sounds, CDs, old vinyls, 45s, 8-tracks. Like I had like access to a lot of old music. So I grew up listening to a lot of that. Also the Beatles. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they definitely were in my ear. And they bit everybody. So
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
Not to say that they don't have their own greatness. You know what I'm saying? Like they provided something for history and music. I'm not hating on that. But we all know the truth. We all know what's up.
Facts.
Jimi Hendrix was big on my playlist. Jimmy was huge on my shit. Growing up a lot by myself because my brothers and sisters were off in their own worlds, and it was just me kind of like trying to explore these things on my own. So I had a lot of punk influence, old punk, a band called Death, all black band from Detroit, punk rock. That's why I have a lot of roots here in New York with Afropunk. Shout outs to James Spooner, who's no longer involved with it, but he started it. Yeah. Music has always been a part of my thing that I've always done. I took violin was my first classical trained instrument when I was in, I want to say it was 6th grade was my first classically trained instrument, was violin. Then I turned into jazz, keyboard, piano, and drum class. So I learned paradiddles,
Wow.
stuff like that. And then in high school, I did a cantonova class, was a singing class, like a varsity level singing class, but I was a freshman. So I've always been involved in some singing and playing music since a young age, and have always been dabbling in production and just sounds in general.
So
Wow, bro. I think that you just finished like taking like out of all our guests so far, I think that that might be the most diversity in like musicianship.
yeah.
There's a lot of like, you know, not to downplay anybody who came in, right? Like Blimes, you know the homie Blimes, right? And
Yeah, I know.
she plays the guitar, you know, like, and she played other instruments too. But I think that that might be like the amount that you listed might be like the record
No, but
right
by
now.
like 12 years old, the fact that you were already digging through crates to find sounds, you were already able to beatbox.
Yeah.
You're already doing the guitar thing off the jump.
Yeah, I didn't care about samples and like where like a lot of the hip hop stuff I was listening to as a teen came from until maybe like late teens, early 20s is when I started like caring about it. And it was like still like a curiosity more than care, right? Where it's like you're more curious about the thing that I love, which is the hip hop that I'm listening to, and therefore because I love that song so much, then I'll look into these songs that like birthed them, you
At
know?
like 12, 13 years old, from like 10, actually, 10, 12, middle school ages, I was already in a group with my buddy. You guys probably know him, Peter Stanislaw, XI. Um,
Oh, word. I know exactly.
yeah, I was in a rap group with him and another one of our colleagues from school. We were doing shows at 10, at 10
Yo,
years old. We were
okay,
doing
we got to
shows.
go into more detail into this stuff. You have no idea how much I love to dig into this. Because, yo, look, it's super cool to be an adult banging out shit. It is exceptionally cool to be a 10-year-old banging out shit. And just to, like, throw it into context from how I see that.
The whole thing, like, it was us two, like, running around San Jose. You know, my dad, like I said, my dad was a musician, and like his dad, like his vinyl collection is so stupid. So I would always be at his house, and we would always be making music, making beats, writing songs. And these older guys were like, yo, who are these young little niggas like working, doing this shit? We got to link. And come to find out, you know, we started linking, and that's how Thunder Hut started for us.
Yo,
We were
Awkwards, by the way, is in
Yeah.
the chat.
Awkward, shut
And he
up.
just said big shouts to Big Pete.
yeah.
So and Awkwards, we interviewed him, but I think this might be the first time he stopped by one of the interviews,
Definitely
and
the
it's for
first
the
time.
homie Yuri.
That's what's up.
You know,
Tell you, me and him go way back. Like
Dude,
that
good
is
peoples.
for in this industry and as a friend, like supporting music wise, a great mind to work with and a networker guru. Like we came up in this shit in the same era of like just making music and doing things. And shout outs to my boy Weezy. Like
shouts out to Awk.
Yeah, honestly, he's a fun dude.
Love him.
Yeah.
Great person.
I
Very few people that like I met through battle rap that I'm like, yo, you can sense the genuineness when you like immediately interact with him. It's not like I had like a shit ton of interactions with him, you know? So like you could just I could sense his genuineness. He's a genuinely good person.
Yeah, hell yeah. I still to this day I can hit him up and be like, yo, what's your opinion on this? You know what I mean? And him being in the industry and have been in the industry and the position that he has is crucial, yo. It's crucial to have people like that in your life, especially if you're trying to make this music music game. You know, we all have our stories. We all have our ups and our downs and our times where we were popping, when we're not popping, or we're stagnant, uninspired. Like, those are type of people you want to tap in and listen to for sure. So shout outs to my guy,
Shout
Mr.
out
Brian.
to
Wheezy.
I enjoyed the interview and his streams. I've seen him stream and they're enjoyable. I don't know him that well, but I fucks with everything I've seen with him.
We could catch a game of Fortnite too.
That's dope. No, I think it's dope. I that y'all are just giving love. Like, it's cool to see that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Like,
Be honest, man. It's not. There's far in between that. Like, there's very few people that is just love like that. Like, and it's sad. It is very sad.
Yeah,
We need camaraderie. We need more of this. People like Brian. We need people
absolutely.
like we just need more. We need more of that camaraderie. We need more of that help with each other. That's just what it boils down to. I feel like.
Absolutely. You know what, bro? Before we start every interview, we like listen to like whoever we're interviewing. We listen to their music, watch their videos, maybe watch some interviews. Depending, sometimes it's a battle rapper, and we watch some battles. Maybe it's somebody like Jay Smooth. We watch interviews that they've done on TED. And like when we were like listening to your music, I was telling my co-host here, Ho that like you helped me. Like the journey that I'm on right now, the newest music I've been doing, nobody's heard it yet, right? But like I'm essentially finally doing what you set me on the journey of doing, which is being unafraid of letting my voice go. You know what I mean? And like, that's like, you did that for me without, you know what I mean? Like, no, all I said was how much I loved your music. You and me got along that night that we met. And immediately after we linked up and you were like trying to like show me another way. And that showing me the other way is what helped that artist in me be unafraid of letting his voice go. You know what I mean? So like, you know, as much as we're giving Awkward props for it too, like give yourself props for it. Cause like you do the same thing, you know? And it is important. What you're saying is a factual fact. I was just watching Shaggy and Spice interview on The Breakfast Club. And he was just talking about how like dance hall reggae period just doesn't get enough love. And like they have to like stand with each other more because of the fact that they're not getting that. Like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry are essentially doing their shit, you know, and a bunch of other artists are out here just jacking reggae, giving no props to reggae, you know what I mean? And then they have to like go out there and like hustle to get like a tenth of the attention that those artists get with essentially the music that is inspiring those artists to make what they are making. You know what I mean? And so like I think that is something that we can learn from. And like in the indie circles that we all work, like if we are the change that we want to see, I think that we're gonna enact that for not only our generation but the generations that are coming behind us.
Facts. I agree.
All right, so let's bring this back to Uriel because there's so much interesting to go through. Before we move on with your timeline, you gotta understand the amount of like there's just stuff we gotta still cover because you're also Mr. Tattoo Artist Wizard guy that does magic and stuff. So how long have you been drawing? Were you also into the drawing when you were super young?
In the what? In the drawing and tattooing?
Well, just drawing in general. I don't know if you were tattooing when you were 6.
I used to draw back in the day, and like teachers would be like, "Yo, don't draw that shit. Don't draw that in class." So I always was that person I can artistically, do things like that. But that wasn't my medium. My medium was always writing songs and basically performing.
So when did you actually like start writing songs? Normally people start like high school and stuff. So since if you're performing by 10, like I know you got into music, but when did you start like actually writing stuff and putting together and recording and all of that goodness?
Probably in middle school. Yeah, middle school was writing songs, performing them.
So how did you so you got into your group, and then how do you get to a point where you're 10 years old like actually performing?
So there used to be like a youth activity center, and we called it the Yak. And basically, that's where you go after school. It's right next door. They had like basketball courts. They had like, art classes or whatever. Dances would be there. And, like half pipe, you go skateboarding, whatever. So they would have these mixers, and I was like, well, fuck, maybe we could perform, you know. And we had our little group. It was called AOI, Art of Illusions, and we basically we would write our shit and perform it at these youth activity centers as little kids. Yeah.
Is that the group that was getting? Because Awkward asked us to make sure to ask you about the group you were in back in the days that was getting major looks. Is that the group or later on?
So after that, I was in a different group called Soul Aggression, and they were an established group in the San Jose, Gilroy, Morgan Hill, like Central Coast area. And in LA, they were performances, but they had fired their lead singer, and basically they had asked me, my buddy at the time was the drummer, and asked me to step in and help them. And I did exactly that. Started writing new material, doing old shit for them, but still writing new material. And we basically almost got signed to Maverick.
Serious.
At the time, which was Madonna had owned Maverick. Deftones were on that label at that
I was
time.
gonna say that's a pop label. Like there's no rap acts that I know of on there. That's like
rock and roll, hip hop. Like it was me screaming, yelling, singing, jazz, reggae, hip hop, rap. It was everything over live instrumentation. It was called Soul Aggression. Sometimes I would bring a crate and a bat on stage and beat the shit out of the fucking crate and just go. I was
that's so dope.
Weird dreadhead kid. I had a lot of angst because I grew up in a home in violence. Not only did I have music in my home, I had a lot of violence. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and it fucked up. So it kind of took that out kids and me, and I was the end brunt of that because I was the youngest of 4 brothers and 3 sisters. I carried that on stage because I wanted to be like him, but I didn't want to be like him. So it was, angsty teenage shit. You know what I mean? But it was perfect making for what Maverick wanted. And at the time, I was 16, 17. And they drove me out to L.A., Grand Wilshire Hotel. I'll never forget this. Wilshire Boulevard, drinking Incredible Hulks at 17. We'd go across Tijuana, do shows. And basically, they had an issue with me in Thunder Hut at the same time and having ties with the hip hop group because we were doing tours too throughout the whole West Coast. We were doing shows, and they thought my ties were too great. So they actually kicked me out of the band before we signed. And Maverick came back to them and was like, yo, where's your lead singer? They tried to do some like Nirvana cover type vibe, and it didn't work out for them. They're like, where's your lead singer? We don't want you without your lead singer. Go fuck off. So long story short, Maverick, at a young age, my life could have been so much different. But I'm glad. I feel like this is there's a reason why I didn't get signed at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reason. There's a reason why.
There's a reason, absolutely. The journey was meant to go the way that it went.
And then I had another band here.
What's Thunder Hut?
Thunder Hut is a hip hop collective group of just crazy goons. San Jose, Santa Cruz, just California crazy dudes. Man, The vibe and music is just, I think we were ahead of our time, and we didn't have the outlets that people have now. That if we did have those outlets, I feel like we would have been in a different category right now. But like I said before, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
That's a serious statement, though, about the idea that due to the technological limitations of being able to promote your music in the way that an independent artist can now, you're stunted by the fact that you weren't following trends. Usually that's what I interpret when I hear ahead of your time. You're doing, or you're at the cusp of shit that's like not yet blooming, and so it's not the current hot thing.
It started my emotional music, and today we'll call it emo rap. I've been on that shit way before it was categorized. When people were in the hyphy movement, I was not doing that. I was doing some other shit. I was banging.
That means that the question then, does that mean that you even predated, which I don't consider him emo rap, right? But he considers himself emo rap. But I don't consider what he made musically what is considered emo rap. But Joe Budden, essentially, when he was doing mood musics, like that's after that, right?
So Joe Budden, like, at one point, people respected Joe Budden for what his craft was, because he was in a super group, like a crazy super group. What's the name?
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, he was on point at one time, and people forget that. But I don't think that he was tapped in all the way in that lane. He had his own lane and he had his own thing, but I don't think he was in that sort of.
I don't either. He does though. That's why he compares what he does to what like Drake and shit. And I'm like, bro, what you did isn't what Drake does at all.
I get compared to so many artists. I've been compared to Kanye to PM Dawn. Like, it's just so many. There's so many levels to the shit that he hasn't touched on, and he just doesn't have the capability of touching on.
Yeah, not at all. He's a traditional rapper, essentially. He might be rapping about emo things, but you're still rapping traditionally in a very traditional sense over traditional hip hop sounds in a very traditional hip hop manner with 16s, hook, 16s, hook, 16, He
was definitely doing it differently and more. He wasn't afraid to like let loose and be emotionally unstable. You know what I mean? That's the vulnerability that some of us creatives have. I've been made fun of my whole life because of some of my music tastes, the way I look, the way I dress, the way I feel. But it's crazy how these fads turn around, and then 15 years later, niggas doing the same shit I've been doing this way before. It's like, oh, now this is cool. Now this is
shit, Uri.
Now niggas want to shit. Okay, I see where you were at. Like, all right. It's interesting.
Nah, it's super. Well, I mean, it's fascinating too to just consider it like on an outsider perspective, right? Where you're especially with something like the hyphy movement, you're doing this other stuff. I mean, you can clearly see the impact of. And yeah, I don't think Joe Budden was making emo rap. He was making rap that had some like, he whined. Honestly,
emotional tones.
He was a whiner. He was making whining rap. I'm okay with saying that on camera. He's a whiner. Like, we reviewed one of his albums, and I swear he just whined for 12 fucking tracks. It was fine. It was really amazingly produced. But his podcast too. He whines. I like listening to Joe Budden whine. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy it.
I enjoy listening to him and his opinion, but everybody gets wrapped up in their opinions sometimes, and it's like, bro, calm down. Your opinion right now is doing too much. You're doing too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I like his use of buttons on the podcast, but no, I haven't like touched his content in a very, very long time, and I'm even less inclined to touch it now. I'm just like not as interested. But I mean, I don't know. He was notorious for bad mixing on his mixtapes. That's something I know people have said about him.
Irrelevant, right? I only brought it up to highlight the fact that essentially, uh, uh, what is stating, right? It's kind of like when we interviewed Mickey, right? When we
Yeah.
interviewed Mickey Facts, Mickey, like I had to pull it out of him because I've been in tune with Mickey for a lot of years, musically, same as you, right? Because the I appreciated the individuality in his artistry, you know, and that's something that you have, that
Yeah.
like that individuality in your artistry that I can appreciate it because my art uh hasn't been able to touch those levels of you or Mickey even, right? But my heart has always been there. My passion has always been there. My in my personal life, I do that. I think that you
I feel
know that.
forced, bro. Like honestly, I have older brothers and sisters, and specifically older brothers that are in the industry, and I've always looked up to them, and I've always held them to this plateau. And once I figured out as an adult that some of those people that I looked up to shouldn't be held so high, because they're just regular people, A, and
Yeah.
B, when you hold people up like that, you're easily let down by some of the things that they do or say or the way they live their lives or whatever the case may be. And I always had this chip on my shoulder when it comes to music. Like, I gotta get to where my brother is. I gotta be there. I gotta meet him there somehow and not piggyback off of him, but I want to meet him there one day.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, I think I think that sometimes he needs to be where I'm at because I'm in a better position and I have more to offer than just one thing. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I do know.
it took a lot of growing up, to be that type of person, and with my music, and let go and just kind of let its course take and put it in my own hands, do my own thing, not worry about what the next man is doing, and use this shit like golf, like I played the course, not the next. And
Mm.
that's why my music is, I'm really particular on my fucking sound, and I just like my sound. I like the way I want it the way to be my shit. So I'm gonna push myself and force myself to be in that lane.
Yeah, that's
It's
super.
beautiful.
It's super insightful. So like, let's bring it back to like, I don't know. I guess you're at the end of high school and you're already involved in a hip hop supergroup and you're the front man of a rock group that basically got signed. And keep in mind, not even done high school. Front band
Not even
got
done.
got kicked out of a rock band that was about to get signed on some fucking pop. Bro, your shit's already a documentary and you're not done high school. So I guess the question is, what happens after high school, or what happens in the next little phase after getting kicked out of the group, and what comes next in your story?
Uh, Man, basically I was tired of being stagnant in San Jose in California, doing shows downtown San Jose. It was just, man, it was a rock, and I was underneath it, and I felt stagnated. I felt like my music. I have so much unreleased music with Thunderhut. It's unbelievable, unbelievable, and I don't know where it's at right now to this day. But I had to change that. Um, and I was working at this restaurant. It was like by the Apple campus in Cupertino. And so I've always been, tech, always been working like around tech. Hitachi, eBay. I've worked so many different jobs. I was a chef, soccer coach, sold meat out of a van. I've sold phones. I've done every single fucking job you could probably imagine. So I came to a point where I was like, you know what? I need more. I had an album, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna move, fucking moving to New York, and I don't know nobody there, but I'm fucking moving. I have family here. I don't tap in with them. They don't fuck with me. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this fucking happen, and start a different lane for myself. So I moved to New York with an album that was called Lightweight Bipolar Mania. And I was able to do Vans Warped Tour with that, start a band. I started a band just by moving into a neighborhood in New York and going to a bar, getting a job at a bar, meeting people, networking, made a band, and did their thing. I was just like, fuck it. But that,
You got to do Warp Tour?
Well, I had some connections, some promoters and people who knew Kevin Lyman personally. And shout outs to Fritz. He put me on, and we were doing Live Large tours. Red Bull was a sponsor. Just doing my solo shit, but with a band. So I, basically writing all the songs, and getting the band to know my music. We traveled a little bit, which was cool, but that, bands, they have these weird, funny things of breaking up, which forced me to just be on my own solo shit. And I already wrote all the music myself. So I just, since then, just been on my own shit, just producing. I've been in the lab. I've been cultivating so much music, and over the past years, on my own, I've just been on my own shit. And so right now I'm slowly coming out of that because I have a booking agent now and I have a publicist, and we're starting to look at shows in LA, shows here in New York City. So I'm putting together like a 3-piece band for live instrumentation to do some touring, to kind of bring that together with the traveling that I'm doing with tattooing already. So yeah, solo. That's where
dope.
my heart kind of like fell into, just being a solo artist and producing my own shit. I got tired of waiting for producers to send me beats. I didn't want to buy beats. I was too broke. So I started making my own shit, saved up money, made my own shit, got my shit robbed, saved up money, made my own shit.
You know what though? Like something that I want to make mention of, right, is that that is moving to New York is ballsy, right? Like, period, for just about anybody, right? But leaving the safety net of being in a scene in California, Holden, for I don't think that you might be aware of this, right? But me in New York, I look at a lot of the homies in Cali, and there's you guys have, you're blessed to have a scene that you can tour, and the fans are very supportive, and that you can get lost in the sauce out there of just what do I really need to do outside of this? I'm good. I'm making great money. I'm touring. What else do I really need? And for you to be have that, and to be this is not enough.
I need more.
I'm gonna push myself into a corner in a very just scary. New York is it's not a friendly city. I mean, it's not as ugly as people make it seem. They make it seem like we're unfriendly, and it's we're friendly too. It's just you can't say hello to strangers here. We don't do that. But
I would argue that's not very friendly.
That's I think that it's overtly unnecessarily friendly to say hello to strangers. But it's really I think it's a testament to you as a person that you did that. You gave up this comfortability of having a place where you can tour and sell music to fans that are interested, and you were yo, this is cool, but I need more.
I had to get out of it. I felt stagnant. I felt like I needed more. And I have it really made, actually. My boy Plex, shout out to Plex Rock.
Shout out to Plex Rock.
Job at a culinary place. I was a chef at a private school. He hooked me up. I had moved to Oakland with nothing from San Jose. I was like, I'm just going to move, save up some money, and then move to New York. fuck all this. And they hooked me up. I was living on campus. Was getting paid as a private chef. I was living nice. And I left all that up to be broke as fucking Bed-Stuy. This shit, my mom was heartbroken. She's like, man, 25 years later, I worked so hard to leave New York from Trinity and move right back in the neighborhood I worked so hard to leave in the 80s.
Parents just don't understand sometimes.
But my mom, New York is not Bed-Stuy is not the 80s anymore. Okay, it's not the same. But
the 80s New York City was crazy.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit. That's what my mom is used. That's what, I know from her stories growing up. Like, that's what I know hearing from her. And I'm moving to that place and I'm like, okay, I need to be on my shit. Like, that's the mentality. I came out here like I needed to be on my A game and not sleep. Like, and I didn't. I fucking hustled my ass off to be where I'm at right now. I really worked my ass off and I continue to work my ass off in other avenues that I'm not comfortable in, that whole being comfortable shit, that complacency, that'll fuck you up the worst. Yo.
Facts. I just finished telling somebody that, where like I had made a status on Facebook about the fact that like I like to put myself in uncomfortable, like compromising positions because like pressure bust pipes, but like it hasn't killed me yet. You know what I mean? And like I'd rather that. I feel like in complacency is where you find depression and drug habits maybe you can't kick that kind of like tear you down more. And just I feel like there in complacency you find more of like fucked upness, like people don't realize it.
Fucked upness. And that's why I don't like to stay in that type of pressure. I like the pressure that makes my back against the wall and I'm forced to do this shit. And that's where I thrive. That's where I create my music. That's where my artistry comes in, like that pressure. I find my heart broken. That's some pressure I can write about. I find myself being the low dog, the last dog standing. That's where I'm gonna write about like my last breath. I'm gonna take y'all the niggas out and you're gonna hear about it. I'm not going out like that. You're gonna have a hard time getting rid of me. That's where I thrive. And that's where I continue to stay.
It's super fascinating still because like, I'm in Montreal. It's not that vibe. I was like, I think because I think a lot about this stuff. Like, why do certain ecosystems and environments have that kind of an energy where people are almost addicted to putting themselves in positions where they're forced to achieve excellence? Because that's what happens. If you have that, you're in a publish or perish mentality at that point. So you either publish or you will perish. And then if you're still doing it, you clearly didn't perish.
Man, it's sink or swim in my mind, bro. That's yeah. They're like, which side do you like best, West Coast or East Coast? Man, I need both of those to be the person I am today. I needed both. I needed that San Jose Shark mentality, and I needed this fucking New York grimy shit. This shit put an extra layer of skin on me that I needed. And so I'm trying to give the world the best of me, and that's where I'm at right now. Currently trying to like show people that this is what I can do. Yeah, that's the castle face. That's my mind dripping on everybody. That's the toughness.
Yo, I have another question. How did you get into tattooing? Because, when I watched a little interview of you, you were on a plane to go to a tattoo convention. And I'm sitting there going, yo, he's a what now? Because, you're thinking about the singing and all that, which is all respect. And then, but how did you get into this? Like, that is equally as cool and impressive as all of and your tattoos are wonderful from what I creeped on the gram and shit. So how did you get into this?
Man, that hustle, I was, that fucking hustle. Working at a bar, working at a coffee shop, met some people, got me a job at a tattoo, and making music, tattoos, hand in hand. But also, I was able to have a job and make a couple bucks, front desk guy type shit. And that turned into this dude saying, I had a dream, you was tattooing. And I was like, man, shut the fuck up, man. I'm not even worried about what you're talking about, dog. Like, I see you're a predator. You are all the way foul. Not fucking with you. And then that blew off for another 6 months. And then all of a sudden, I had a dream again. You was tattooing. I'm like, all right, bro. You keep coming to me with this shit. Let's run it. Fuck, let's go. So I started running tattooing. I was an apprentice with this dude, and he basically showed me the outs of how to run a shop. He did that inadvertently, like because he's not really good at running a shop. So I learned how to. I learned how to tattoo things from him, but I learned those things because it was some of that shit bullshit. And that's this industry is tattooing. Being a black tattooer is there's a lot of things that going. I can tell you that.
A lot. There's a lot. I can tell you from the outside looking in,
like what?
As a person who's just aware, right, of like the racism all over the world towards us, right? And like I seen it, like that's why I stopped watching Ink Master, right? Because like I love a show, I love competition shows, but when I see, you know, white men judging on a show constantly making these remarks about, yeah, you know, because black skin is so, you know, hard to tattoo, and you all these things that is just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I saw them talk about light skinned black men like they were talking about Bernie Mac. You know what I mean? That it's just like, the fuck are you saying? Like, this is a light skinned black man. You could put a pink, like what do you, like the same things you do on a white man you could do on him, but they put it, and just that little bit of taste of watching it on TV, I could tell and sense how much racism there is in the industry. And coming from the stagehand world, where like I made a joke on the job the other day where I was like, you know, we were around a lot of, you know, white stagehands, right? And I just make a comment like, why is that all these guys got a flaming skull tattoo, you know? You know, and so it's just like, it's the same thing, you know, where like they have this little boys club, and you know, they don't consider themselves good old boys, but like, you're just good old boys with tattoos and fucking Harleys. Like, it's not like you're different than the good old boys, you know? Like,
well, yeah, so man, honestly, I try to navigate in this fucked up ass world, not really saying much, but my actions. If you come to my shop or you come to my booth at a convention, you will know what I'm talking about. I don't even need to speak on it. Like, it's just a vibe. I bring something different to the table and I do it well. And people are upset about that, which is totally fine. You're gonna have a hard time swallowing this fucking pill. If I'm gonna give it raw, I'm gonna fucking give it to you. And I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to go to North Dakota. I'm not afraid to go to Iowa and tattoo at these places and show you that you don't have to get tattooed by a fucking skinny busting metal all day in your face trying to mansplain to you this old fucking design. Like, you don't need that. There's options. There are options.
Yo, I had no idea.
1711 Linden Street, Ridgewood, New York, which is like an elbow area. It's a weird little area over here because it's Bushwick, but across the street it's Flushing, Ridgewood, it's Queens. It's a special area, and I'm glad that over here, like, it's still cheap, like rent. It's crazy. It's like people are moving from the city to this neighborhood, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I have a friend who moved from Sunset Park recently, like just like a couple months ago, into Ridgewood area. So
it's here. I mean, I had used this. There's this app called Citizen, and like you download it and you see what's going on, and I had to delete it because I'm just like, oh, I don't want to know. There's too much shit popping off. And there, I'm like, yo, we still live in New York, so stop acting like we don't live in New York.
I don't 100% know what just happened. You guys went into some like New York jargon line, and I'm like, fair enough.
Oh.
That's some New York shit. You like pivoted. I'm like, I don't know what app that is. I don't know what they're doing on the app.
Yeah, nah. Citizen app is totally like a New York centric. Like, it's because it's just the New York thing. It's just another way for New Yorkers to be New Yorkers, man. I can't even explain it. Like,
fair enough. So, nah,
moving right along. Once again, definitely stop by Hades Inquisition to get a tattoo if you're in New York City. And if not, please just follow them on the gram because, like Uri said, like they travel and they're all over the earth.
10 months out of the year, me and my partner, we have been on the road for 7 years. We've been doing this. 10 months out of the road, different city. It's called villainarts.com. You can definitely check out the cities that we're going to be in. And we do some shows abroad, like Thailand, Iceland, Trinidad and Tobago, London. We tap in. We definitely put in the work in the industry. And I'm about to open up a second shop. Yeah, things are looking good for tattooing, and I'm trying to bridge the two together with the traveling, the tattooing, and the music as well.
right.
So that's my main focus right now, and my clothing. A lot of things.
You have clothing as well.
You know what? Real quick, I'm gonna say before you get into the clothing, I'm gonna be like that old man that told you like I had a dream and I see you as tattooing. I have a dream that's coming to me right now where I see you acting. So we're putting that into the world. I don't know like how against it you might be, but I think that you'd be amazing on the big screen.
I do have some IMDb credits. I do have an acting coach. I've been on the screen before, and it's something that I am currently wanting to pursue a little bit more. So yeah, acting definitely in the future for me. Big time.
Big time. Big facts. Now tell us about the clothing line.
Yeah, that's like, how did you go this whole way and gloss over that?
I had a single called "I Love You." I dropped it last Valentine's Day, and coexisting with that was a limited run of an "I Love You" sweatsuit that I had come up with, and along going with like doing that project, I put in the universe that I wanted to like mass this, make it a thing, and my buddy hit me up like, "Yo, I gotta connect. They want services." I'm like, "What do you mean trade services?" Well, I told them that that you bought a crazy ass camera. I'm like, "Yeah." And you do videos. I'm like, "Yeah." Well, they need a business marketing video, and who better else to do it but than you? And so I'm currently working with a company called Threefold. Shout out to Jessica Kelly. Basically, it's for sustainable fashion, and she basically went to all these countries like India and Argentina and Bali, and she has been networking and gathered some of these factories and helped them with ethical and sustainable fashion stuff, things that are recyclable, 100% sustainable, and making sure that the conditions are up to par and these people are treated with the most respect and paid and compensated for their work.
That's incredible.
So I'm currently releasing that in hopes to, find some sort of consignment, and it's looking pretty good.
Yo, that's dope. Bonnie in the comments said like besides, she first said I'm looking at these tats right now and they're dope. And then she said, love that about the sustainable
it's a huge
fashion.
issue.
Like that is dope. That's super dope.
It's like that's where our heads should be. Sustainable things that don't take a lot of resources to make, but they help the environment, and it's a big circle. You know what I mean? Like, you're making this, it's helping this, it's putting money in this pocket, and it's helping this, and it's a big fucking circle. And you oil it, keep it moving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my head at, and that's something that I want to give to my son, something that I can pass on to my son when I'm gone and not of this human form. I can pass that on to my son, that wealth, that generational shit, you know what I mean? So he can learn the process and keep pushing.
Yeah, that's incredible because it honestly takes a lot of people to do it. Like people are not necessarily jumping on the sustainability thing, and you can see it with the trend of fashion getting like bigger, and like as much as even a Fashion Nova wants to be as sustainable as they can be, like they still encourage you to ship shit all the time and a lot of other things like that. So like you look at the world of fashion and like just to see you kind of trying to create that machine, and the second you have a sustainable model everybody jumps on it, right? And so like the fact that you're just putting that effort in and is incredible. Like it's just really incredible.
My mind has always definitely been elsewhere, not with the collective. I feel like I've been elsewhere, and I continue to be elsewhere, and people are trying to tap into what I'm already been doing, and I'm just trying to keep going, and help as well too. Like I need help just as much as I'm doing most of this shit by myself. Like I always could use the help wherever anybody feels that they can help, management, money, monetarily, whatever. Like let's run it. Let's fucking run it. Let's build a village and help each other.
Yes, let's.
No, I think that's incredible.
I'm actually texting a friend who does he does casting, and I'm like hitting him up like,
that's the person I need to know.
Yeah, that's a person you do need to know. I'm linking him your Instagram right now.
No, that's really fresh.
On my reels, I did this. I would just like take monologues and just like cut them in half and just do one sentence out of the monologue. Like I would just say, "I love you more than anything in the world," but I'll say it different ways. You know, it's like how many ways can you good? You know, that's not just like a New York thing. That's an acting thing. Oh, you know?
No, it's interesting because it just like you have to be able to even with like songwriting, you have to be able to say the same thing multiple ways, the same words. Like we were listening just the way you were like you and do and Flacko was like pointing out how like as much as so many people want to do some verbose, complex things, sometimes it's just the simplicity in it. But when you listen to the emotional delivery, and really, I was duly fucking impressed with what you've done musically. I've listened to a lot of music, like a lot of music. I've not heard a lot of people have like the first video on their YouTube be basically an acapella where like mixing effects create percussion and shit. And I was like, that's serious. Like, and it sounds beautiful to listen to. There's no beat. It's just your
beautiful
voice.
to listen to.
Just you.
Let me tell you something. You're all robbed of the opportunity. Like, if you know the man in person, right? Like, I remember when I met Uri, he like let me hear his music, and I'm like, where is this? I need to have this in my iTunes right now. And none of it was like out. Like, I need this shit right now. Like, had the Dave Chappelle scratching himself crackhead move. Like, yo, bro, like the man really does work a lot, but he's not just disposing of his art as if it's disposable. He's putting a lot of effort and thought into his shit.
I had to learn that the hard way. I really had to learn that the hard way. I was making music and I wanted to just get it out there, and putting it out arbitrarily with no plan, I was just putting it out. I was just like, I got to get this out. I got to do something. It really burnt me. It burnt me because I felt like I was doing the work and then I wasn't giving it the proper attention that it really needed. So that I learned the hard way to like Castle Face. That's 2 years of making this thing happen, and I still got a month until I drop it, damn near. And it took me 4 days to actually record the music. 4 days. took me 4 days to write those songs, but it actually took me years of emotional drama and situations to be able to write those songs.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, no, I do.
Yo, I think that's like a big important too, right? Because I've been thinking a lot just about song content and making music replayable. One of the things I think a lot of people like don't do is live life. So they focus so much on the art that there's no living involved.
That's the art part. Your life is
Yeah.
the art. You gotta get your heart broken. You got nobody is happy all the fucking time.
Facts.
No.
I mean, fuck, I would make happy songs all day, but that's not the case. Like, I have emotions just like everybody else, and that's the part. You have to live life. You have to go through it so you can report about it.
And I just think it's also, there's a universality to the emotional expression you put out. I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying like, my mom could bump your music, I could bump my music, and some kid could bump your music. And I believe that we could all tap into the same thing. And
in the comments, Lomi like
yo, shut up,
3, 4,
Lindell.
5. That's Linda?
It's Lindell. Lindell Williams.
Lindell. That's Lindell. Word. That's your homie. I always thought that it was. Anyway, he said, I think being simple and passionate is the goal in making music song to song. When it comes to albums, that's when you put your all into it, you know?
Yeah. I'm a Leo. I'm a fire sign, so I'm going to come correct every single time. I'm not going to give you half of my heart. I'm going to give you the whole fucking thing on a platter.
Whole motherfucking thing.
Well, I respect that stills, but it's also, why the short songs? So that's the thing where it's like, me as a person who might not fully grasp it, like, how do you drop a 48-second thing? And it's dope. It is
because sometimes thought or feeling is only 45 seconds. So that's all I give to it. And after I give you that energy, I'm done with it. Like I release that into the universe, and I let that thought. Sometimes you think, sit back, yo, okay, this is making me feel this way. Why is it making me feel this way? This is the thought I have. It. That's what I give that's my energy towards that thought. So that 45 seconds, that's all it is. It's no more. There's nothing else to it. That's just how I felt about that situation.
And I guess but you're also like in full control of the production and everything, right? So for you, it's like, because I cop beats or whatever, right? So I got this template that I'm following. I'm gonna be real. Every song, there's like the beat maker made a template. I'm gonna go find my way to meet that template and do my thing on that template. And I love that collaborative format in my mind. I don't really want to do the whole thing like that. I'm cool with this. But in your version of it, you're gonna just do, like, you open up a blank fucking whatever, and it's just zero. And so it can just be 45 seconds if that's all it is, because you literally don't have anything. That's serious. Stills. That's a very interesting, like, creative universal difference that I find super interesting.
Yeah, some people are like, I want more. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. I just gave you everything I had to this situation. This is it. This is all that it needed. That's all that it needed. And sometimes those songs don't see the day of light. Sometimes those are just interludes. Those are just thoughts. Those are just like intros. It'll be 30 seconds into the song, and it's like, oh shit, damn, this will make me feel this way. I don't know how I feel, but it made me feel some sort of way, you know? That's kind of like the single that I just dropped off this project, Castle Face, Symptoms. Symptoms is a cry for me to like say, hey, I know the symptoms of emotionally unstable people. Why am I still letting these people fuck with me? Why? I need to remind myself, I know how these people are, but these lessons will come in different forms of people until we learn them. So you got to recognize the symptoms and realize what you get yourself into.
I like the depth in it. I like the fact that there's purpose with everything that you do. Like, everything feels deliberate.
Yeah, I try not to. I am not an arbitrary and everything has a reason. There's a deeper issue. It might seem like, oh, this is off the cuff, but nah, there's some shit behind it probably.
Yo, but it's I find that super interesting, right? Because I try to be like, let's say, very like meticulous with my decision making, even in the micro and minutia of life, right? So like I just find it's easier for me at least to manage it and then allow me to present what I want to the world, as a human in all like facets of life. And I have people constantly telling me to like not do that. And so I feel like the way that you approach it is like fucking wonderful. Like to me, it's like, dude, that just makes more sense. Like doing everything in a calculated capacity to synergize all of your efforts into one conglomerate of the essence of you. I mean, I don't know how else to achieve that without like that level of micromanaging shit. But like, sorry?
First off, let go. Gotta let go of all the insecurities. We gotta let go of those things, even though we're human and we do go through those things, but we have to let go to a point where it's like, okay, I did this work. It's done. Now let's just move on. Let's push it in the direction where it can grow legs, grow some feet, grow appendages, and work for you. Not, damn, I just made this song and now it's just going to sit here. Or I just made this piece of art and it's just going to sit there. There's nothing attached to it. There's no drive. There's no car for it to be mobile and get to people.
Yo, I have another question that's unrelated to this part of your life, but what's it like performing in New York from somebody not from New York?
Oh, it's amazing. This is one of the greatest cities in the fucking world. And performing on big stages, small stages, hundreds of people, or just 2 people at a bar, real lonely. Like, this shit is where you get your juice from. This will fucking make you into an animal, the hungry beast that you want to be. If you don't, it'll follow you up. It'll make you feel this small. It'll make you feel insecure. It just depends on how you want to go about it and how deep you want to go. It's up to you. Like, it really, for me, it really makes me more hungry. It makes me, those shows where you gotta do, and it's like 5 of your homies, and you maybe have 1 person that you don't know or something, 2 or 5 people that you don't know, you're performing for them.
Yeah,
you're literally performing for that 1 person to be a lifer. You know what I mean? That's your
and you'll find them. You'll find them. They'll be lifers.
They'll be there at every show next time. Like that's just
like
the nature.
Big time knowledge nugget too. I know exactly what it is to do that performance and to feel those things, but like, yo, like I mean, Montreal has a lot of very small opportunities that you can tap into. But
New York City is full of. I've had this conversation recurringly over the years. Recently, in the past, today I had this conversation where I was in my barber's chair. My barber, Dominican dude, he's talking about some son of a homie that he had in his pocket, talking to him in Spanish about what his like friend's son is doing, and he's like, his son isn't working, and because of whatever reason he's giving it that. And I'm like, he's not working because he don't want to work. Because in New York City, there's money everywhere. You can be illegal. You can be underage. It doesn't matter. If you want to make money in New York City, there's fucking money here for you. You just got to be, are you willing to fucking get that money? You know, and it's relative.
Willing to do the work and more.
Yeah, and more, exactly. And that's where you gain the.
Hold on. We gotta pause for a second.
clientele.
I think you just said something big. I mean, I know what you mean, but for the sake of it, what is the and more? People need to hear that part. The work and more.
Go above and beyond and stay later for less pay.
Mm-hmm.
That you might have, or that the opportunity that you have. There is 5 people. There are 5 people waiting to take your job and willing to do it for less.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're not willing to go above and beyond, no, you're not going to really catch anybody's eye. And so, but that's applicable to everything, you know, and
especially
whether
everywhere.
it be yeah, it's like if you're performing music in New York City and you do that, you give people you when you're doing that, they're going to accept you in New
You
York
can't,
City. You
I
just
did
got to
that.
be genuine.
Just got to be genuine, and I was able to tap in with some really cool fucking people here in New York because of my genuineness.
Yo,
And that's the only thing that will continuously beat anything. Hard work, genuine people. That's what's gonna rule this whole shit.
that's what drew me to you. Absolutely, absolutely. I was like, yo, this is like I felt that you know that's the thing is that New York is like I think that's something that people don't realize is that New York is really a feeling and it's always a feeling, you know? So like you feel when the boys are coming around the corner, you feel when situations about to go left, you feel when
In the air.
performers are giving you their all. You feel it when when we get Jeremy Lin and he's like bawling his heart out at the Garden and New York is like, we fucking love this guy. Like
Yeah.
this is what we want, not mellow, right? Like, and not to knock mellow, right? Like, not to, because you know that's just got my shit knocking, you know, another black man. But like, the truth is that like he, I think that the immediate stardom coming into the league assisted in him being able to be like, I'm the star of the team, you know. And what it is in New York is that they kind of we need to see you bleed, you know, like and it's true, like on the job the a homie was telling me about how like he was like, yo, these like they all respect you. Like there's like 30 people on my site and he's like, yo, they all respect you. I'm like, that's because I bleed with them. You know what I mean? I'm not like I learned a long time ago in leadership that like there's a difference between the king in his castle sending his soldiers off to bleed for him and the guy that will lead them into the battle and will bleed with them, will die with them. That's the motherfucker you will fucking die for. You know what I mean? And
Gotta be.
that's what people want in New York City, you know? And that genuineness that you have is what I think gives you so much life here and makes you happy here, makes you like be able to function here while other people come here, go, and don't feel that like attachment here. And it's because there is no attachment here because New York don't love you because you're not genuine. So you're not going to feel no love from the people here. But when you're genuine and you feel that love from the people here, you're just like, fuck, bro, this is kind of better than a million fans. You know, like a million fans is cool, but like when you have 100,
that one,
that one that'll die for you.
That one person, you know, it only takes that one person. I was out in front of my shop and I had put these planter boxes and it's got flowers in it. And I put 3 of them, real big ones. I planted a tree and I put a bench outside. And this lady comes up with her dog. She has to be in her late, like, I don't know, 50s or 60s. And she's like, yo, I've been here my whole life. Ain't nobody made this neighborhood better but you. You solely are the only person that put this shit out here to make this neighborhood better. I just want you to know we got you. I'm like, fuck, that is the total validation. I didn't need to be validated by nobody else but her. I'm good. Like, I am good in my neighborhood. I'm Gucci. I don't have to worry about it. Like that genuine shit is gonna knock out of the park. So be yourself, be genuine.
Yo, but also like give back. That's like a huge thing, because you just to like go in a little bit of a different way. Let's say being yourself and genuine doesn't include giving back, then you're gentrifying. And I've seen it in Montreal has gentrification too. It's not nice, so it's the same kind of bullshit happens. So it's like, yeah, some people really just their genuine selves they doesn't fathom the idea of giving back. But in all the stories I've ever heard of anybody that ever got to a place where they Gucci with any neighborhood, it had to do with giving back in some way, and that's what you did. You put a bench out. Yo, motherfuckers like benches.
Simple thing. I put a bench with some wood and paint. And they's like, yo, we valid. This is totally validated.
And who
Like,
doesn't like
solid.
seeing plants in the neighborhood? Apparently, not every neighborhood has trees like mine. I didn't know that was a thing. So understanding that, no, for real, I'm like, we got blessed. We got trees for fucking days up in Montreal. But like, apparently, that's not a thing.
You guys even got fake trees.
Yeah.
And I don't mean fake trees in the. That's like they have. Like I remember going to Montreal, in 2019. And like being blown away by the fact that they have art sculptures everywhere, all over the city. The way we have bodegas is the way that they have art galleries. It's like every corner, in the middle of the block, and like everywhere.
They really
and there's like all these like art installations all over the city. And I remember seeing this one in the middle of like freeway or maybe not freeway, but like parkway, I guess it would be. And like they had this little like, you climb upstairs, but the stairs are like essentially the tree. And then when you get up to like the platform, you can walk out to these like places to like look or take pictures. And that's where the branches are. And I was just like, oh, this is fucking dope.
Montreal. Montreal watching this. When y'all are like thinking about these goofy shits we do, and you're like, who the fuck cares about the tree? Flacko and other people that don't live here care about the shit that actually generates tourism dollars for our city. So like, we spent
That's what made me be eager to come back.
We spent like $10 million on a light bridge, and everyone was like, blah, blah, blah. That shit made more than $10 million for Montreal, but nobody knew that because they weren't thinking about it. But apparently people will come to your city to look at a funny light bridge. And I'm like, it's like the Chicago bean and crap. Like, I'm like, yo, I want to go see that fucking shiny ass thing. New York's full of that kind of stuff. Like, bro, like, I want to go see some of the cliche New York shit. I don't know that I want to spend money to do the tours. I just want to look at it.
I have to say this: I have not been to Canada yet, and I am looking so forward.
You're gonna enjoy.
Yeah, that's one place I definitely look forward to, like exploring and tapping in the music scene, and I feel like I can offer a lot. I can offer a lot.
I think
collabing
you do well artists. Here.
Like I would love to. Like,
I think he would. I think that you would like do fucking incredibly well in Canada, like just like artistically in all aspects of the art, right? Of your arts. Like, I think that the tattoo scene you'd be able to do really well, and the music scene you'd be able to fucking like. I think you make the type of music that like Canada would be like. It's art, eh?
No, I mean I don't know, like. I mean, I say that with, like, a relative perspective. I'm a 33-year-old dude that isn't necessarily connected to youth culture like I wish I was. But you sound a lot more like you're in touch with it than a lot of other people that I know. But also, like, Montreal is really, like, cosmopolitan in its music taste. As in, everybody likes a lot of weird and different things. And if you go across the spectrum of your music, it creates an experience that crosses multiple genres. And I think that's really attractive here, in a way that a lot of people, because some of our bigger festivals is like random weird mishmashes of shit, or like somehow like all the EDM fucking festivals have a rapper or two, and it's like there's these things that you see happening here, and I'm like, nah, I think you would do like pretty solid in like the festival tours of Montreal, like just tap it into that shit, and you could do like the techno shit and then hit Jazz Fest in the same week.
That's what I'm saying.
Facts. Yeah, we're putting it in the air. We're putting it in the air.
I'm just like, I wanna see Uriel.
This year, I really have finally like gotten to a place where like I just say a lot of these things out loud because I really do believe in the power of like manifesting things by saying them, and it's not impossible. Like we're not talking about some unfathomable thing. Like this is very fathomable, very realistic, very achievable.
Like if you want to come to Montreal, I can't say I know the right people today, but I could find the right people a lot quicker than I could have a year ago. And
I mean, that's one step closer for me.
I don't say that hyperbolically. Like, I mean, I'm heavily trying to like tap into the Montreal scene. I don't know as many promoters and shit, but if I'm like, bro, I know a guy. Who do you know? I can start that chain of events because I'm very fascinated with the idea of how do I bring a New York artist to Montreal? How do I personally pull off this string of events if I wanted to? So like I'm just personally fascinated by a phenomenon like that. So I'd be like selfishly invested in putting in that kind of work for that kind of endeavor.
Hell yeah.
And Castle Face is the type of project that, like, I think that would be the shit that, like, would get gobbled up.
You know what? That could, I don't know. I'm going to look into it. Like, see what's happening. I'll talk to people because I don't know anything right
and
now.
we're going to do it.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah. No, we're both gonna because now I'm like, I was helping my homie. He was trying to find some young New Yorkers. Quality Control is doing a movie, and my boy is like helping them cast. And it's like an old New York, like 90s New York City. But they're like, they're making it right now, right? So like they're like using like 13 to 18 to 20-year-olds from New York City, and they want that like young New York, genuine New York energy. And so just with helping him with that, I'm just automatically, I started talking to him where I'm just like, there's certain people that I know that I'm like, I should be linking you these people that I know, and he was like, yeah, you should. And I'm like, I'm going to. And now I'm like, we're gonna find the right role like that comes across his desk that's gonna be perfectly catered and fitting for Uri to just walk into and just.
And if nothing else, you would fucking love chilling at the Tam Tam smoking joints on a Sunday.
Yeah, you're also gonna love the fucking poutine.
Just the vibe of Montreal.
Like, whatever, poutine. Like these fucking Canadians go crazy over this poutine shit. And then I got there and I was like, oh my god, this is totally some shit I would go crazy for on a regular basis.
Yo, I mean, we don't have like a lot, but we gotta triple the fuck down on the things we know are smash hits. You know what's a smash hit? When the shit shows up in American frozen food sections.
Yeah, you know the hit then for sure.
Nah, that's super cool. You're like, honestly, your whole like universe is fascinating, and I guess like the mastery of your craft just taps into the decades of your life flowing through experience clocking from like, yo, again, just to recap a little bit, playing guitar is like a baby, with his dad, learning
and the drums.
I think that came later, but either way, that's not the point. But he's playing but then learning jazz scales and all kinds of standards. I don't know what a standard is, but whatever, jazz shit, all at the time, learning. But we're talking about the boring crap that most people don't want to put the foundational work in.
Yo, in all reality, I'm a boring ass dude. Like, I feel like I'm boring. Sometimes I'll be listening to myself and be like, okay, I get it. Like, nobody wants to hear this shit all the time.
I don't agree. Lazy
Nah,
people don't want to hear that shit all the time. That's the truth of it. I could listen to this shit all day because it tells me, yo, bro, hustling makes sense. Like, I got to go work. I got to go find, like, opportunities. And I'm not going to lie. The more I talk to Flacko, the more I start thinking a little more New York with my approaches. Because, honestly, like, sometimes the Montreal approach can cockblock yourself when you're not allowing yourself to see the opportunities and shit.
Our biggest distraction, our biggest blockade is ourself.
Always.
Absolutely.
It's ourself. It's always ourselves.
Always.
When we get out of our own way, that's when we can reach our full potential.
But like to hear people say that again and again, just to hear different people keep saying the same thing, right? It creates almost a universality to the truth. It doesn't matter where you're born. It doesn't matter where you're at. Anybody that's successful over time follows certain principles upon which there's always some element of giving back. There's always some element of fucking excessive amounts of practice, and whether it's like because you were a kid and you banged it out then, or you chose to do it later on in life or whatever, but then like the truly exceptional people tend to just have these like, yo, and so I mastered that by this age, or mastered that by that age, and that's where like the drums and all this other shit, like by like whatever high school, you've already banged out like virtuoso level bullshit's going on here. Finishing up high school, like already a recognized person in your scene with opportunities and shit, and then gets bored of being successful there and moves to New York just to become successful again. Tattoos, clothing lines, gotta get more acting shits. Like when you list it like that, man, I mean, yeah, it's boring because the behind the scenes of fucking everything is boring. And you have to live that part.
Yeah, facts. I remember when I was in FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology, and I was learning fashion art for fashion design, and I was like, that was like my dream. And like I remember like realizing at one point, like, wow, like your dream becomes trash when you do it every day. Like, yo, not like literally, right? Like, I still love it, you know?
Like, your idols are trash, the business is trash. It's like, yo, why am I even doing this?
Why am I even doing this? Yeah.
Because it's less trash than the other trash.
Facts.
Yeah, right.
No, it is. It is. When you look at, because this is the thing, right? Like, I was having a conversation with a homie where we were talking about people's unhappiness. And I was like, you know, the problem with what happens with a lot of people is that they don't think early on in life about what they want out of life. And then they end up kind of like making a series of decisions that they think that they're supposed to make because this is what society told them they're supposed to do, right? And then they end up in those places and they are miserable because like there's not, like they didn't do anything, you know, to try to like follow a passion. They just did what they thought that they were supposed to do. And then when they're there for a few years, they realize like, yo, this is not what I want out of life. You know, like that's why I tell a lot of young people, like it's fucked up that we send people to college right after high school.
Makes
and
no
it's
sense.
like, yo, pick your major, which is gonna be the career that you plan on doing for the rest of your life when you're like 20. Like, or 18, 19. It's just like, what? You don't really know what the fuck you're really going to want to be doing for the rest of your life. 18, 19. You need to try some things on.
And it's not like it's not even like set in stone.
Try it on to see if it fits
and like,
right, if you like the way it looks on you. You know, like it's not as simple as people make it seem.
But it's also like it's not the only way that it's done. Like Israel has this whole culture where you finish high school and it's customary for you to go travel for a couple of years. Like you're not allowed to go to school right away. University, you have to go live some life because they know you're gonna just party for a minute either way, and they had just done the army service or whatever. So you do the army service and then you have to go travel. You start university in your mid-20s, so at that point you're like an adult with like an informed sense of what the fuck to go into. And it's like the fact that Israel accomplishes what it does through arts and sciences, blah blah blah, maybe not arts but sciences at least, you know, like evidently this whole maybe letting people grow up first can result in, you know, productivities and shit. Like there is a successful model that is banging this out.
Word. I mean, America just sucks. You know what I mean?
No, I mean Canada's doing the same shit though. I mean it's the same bullshit.
I was talking to somebody and they were telling me about their passport issues, and I was like, yeah, nah, take care of that because you know nobody wants to fucking stay in America all the time. Straight up, man. Like I love the people of the country, right? Like I love my people, but like we don't get to like run this country and dictate the way that it runs. You know, it's the people that are in charge that make it trash. You know?
Yeah, I'm super proud to be an American. I'm very, like my ancestors built this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I go to other countries and I'm like, yeah, I'm American. What's up? Like, I'm proud of it. I'm not gonna gangbang in their country on it, but I am proud. But at the same time, I'm embarrassed. Like, I go to them and be like, "You're president." I'm like, that motherfucker ain't my president. First off, and secondly, these are other people's problems, not problems that I created. These are other people that are in the trenches. Like these are problems that they create. You know?
Yeah.
So that whole American being this, that, and the third, like, God, it's just tiring because I do have some patriotism, you know, but I
Mm-hmm.
realize that the majority fucked up country and world is based on lies, rape, fucking pillage, and
Pillaging and plundering.
all
Yeah.
sorts of crazy.
You know what though? Let me tell you something. Something that I say, like when Trump was president, I would say it all the time. Where I'm just like, I question every fucking president because I'm a real fucking patriot. Okay, my job as a patriot of my country is to question my government and to contest them and to like question the viability of the decisions that they're making. And if I think that the people that have been put in charge are making bad decisions and I'm questioning it, I don't need to like a lot of blind people, they tell you, oh, you don't like it here, then get out the country. No, motherfucker. This is my fucking country. I'm supposed to question this shit. It's not supposed to be that I'm just supposed to lay down and be like, oh, you guys just do as you please. I'll just roll with whatever you think, because like, yeah, no, that's not how the shit goes. The shit goes like we put you in the power and you're supposed to listen to us. I don't know where y'all got this shit confused into thinking that we're all just supposed to be subservient to the government. Like, no.
Nah, I don't get it either.
No.
I mean, you guys literally have a right to bear arms based around the idea of forming civilian militias to fuck up your government if they act improper. Like, that's the intent of that thing. We don't have that, so it's not the same country.
It don't apply to everybody. It don't apply to everybody. When we create militias, it's
I know.
classified differently. It's also.
I mean,
all right, let's get off that topic. Let's get back to
it's a practical
the
topic, right?
Like,
it just made me think. When I first started like really like writing pop stuff, I would definitely try to be like very militant and very political and reading all sorts of crazy shit and forming my views. And now I'm just like, I'm like the bar. I don't talk. You can't talk politics, religion. I'll sneak that shit in so deep where you won't even know that I'm actually talking about something unless you know me. You know?
And you know what though? That's a testament to your true art, the real artistry. I was literally showing a homie who I know from the Bronx, who's a very Bronx guy. Okay, so like his like musical palette is like really limited, right? And it's like, yo, this isn't a knock towards him. He'll probably, you know what I mean, say it like he's a wild hip hop head. He's not into nothing else, He's only into hip hop, He's only into rap type shit, and like, and I'm not mad at him for it, Like this is, what it is. But like, it did make it sound like it, like
it is what it
that's
is.
my guy. He knows what it is, But like he, shit. Now I forgot my fucking point.
You were trying to show him something, or
you show him some music or something.
Yeah.
And it.
I showed him Childish Gambino's "Feels Like Summer," and he did not realize that was a political song about like fucking climate change and like the drastic fucked up shit that's happening in the climate. And like he's like, yo, this is like a really good song. This is like a really good like summer song. And I'm like, bro, it's talking about like how we're killing the environment and the bees are fucking dying and the birds aren't singing anymore and it's all fucked up now. And there's only with so much time left. But that's what great artists do. They sneak in the message like so deep that you don't even realize that's what you're bopping to. Like you're bopping and you're just like enjoying. And then like after you sit with the music and you ingest it over and over and over again, one day like it clicks and you're like, hold on, shit. Am I talking about like fucking like whatever like deep subject, you know what I mean? That is just like, oh shit. But that's what real great artists do. They find a way to like get the veggies in and get the medicine in with the junk food. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like that. Yeah,
it's definitely solid. I appreciate the energy you bring to it all. I think it's cleverer to make a replayable song with that kind of message, because I mean, if you just were like really blatant with it, like the example I think of a lot is Immortal Technique. It's I love listening to that guy's songs once, and then I don't really need to go back because I get the bars, right. So like he's a super blatant, and there's a 1-2 track I find that are like really good, but like I don't know. I know all the history and shit now. Like I thanks. Like it gave me the things to Google, and then I Googled the things, and it's like I don't know. Let's move on to a different like vibe, but like be able to better package it into a way where it's like, nah, I just want to listen to this song, and oh fuck, it's about shit. That's like way better, because then you feel cool listening to the song, but you already love the song, and that's like a much better vibe, I think.
That's the thinking, and that is where this next generation of music, that's where they're at. It's a vibe. You just hear, yeah, 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 a million times before the verse even comes on, because that's just the vibe.
That's the vibe. That's where they at with it. I love that about. I absolutely adore that about this generation. That they stopped with the like, bro, like I'm not really trying to lyrical miracle you to death. Like it's fucking, it's the vibe, and but the vibe makes it that like when you throw that one bar in there, right? It's fucking, it knocks, and you know it's funny because like Redman, one of the like more prolific lyrical miracle rappers, right? That like most lyrical rappers like admire Redman, right? And like Redman, I remember reading like he had like gotten like verse of the month in the source when that like mattered, you know. And like they asked him after he got so many, they asked him like, how do you craft these incredible verses? And Redman's just like real simple. He's like, I just come up with one really good line and I build everything else around that shit. You know, like just make up one really good line, man. I just get one really good line, build a whole 16 around that bitch. We're out the park with it, you know? But I think that right, like they had he would still do a certain amount of pen work to it. But like I think that this generation does themselves a better service by not trying to live up to like impossible standards,
so much
creating their own lane and making it that it's about the vibes and about the feeling, because that's what music really is about. It's about a feeling.
Gets around all of the gatekeeping bullshit too, right? Like I think there's this lust for perfection. So I see this thing with a bunch of like the artists in my age group and above, where I found out that, let's say, a lot of people like to record a lot of music but they never release it, or like they get caught up on a detail or whatever, and I'm just like, yo, how are you gonna drop money on a studio session and not do anything with it ever? Like, I mean, I understand if you're at home and you're doing it at home and you're making art, that's it. But if you're at the point where you've committed to put dollars down to the production of that should be at some level coming out in some way, even if it's a little Ig teaser or something, you know, like something just to like give you something. And nah, people just do all this shit, and there's like, I just get perplexed by it all. I just get perplexed by this chasing of perfection, and I'm like, yo, just do it. Have you heard what sound compression does on an iPhone 6? Bro, it doesn't even matter what y'all are doing unless you're in the exact perfect headphone environment that you've created in your apartment. Yo, once we start,
I watched a video about like a guy that like is a super professor in like audio sound engineering and shit, and like he brought like a student who has like a better ear, because apparently like your ear changes the older you get and the amount of frequency that you can hear. And he tested his young student that has like a like super scholar level like ear and shit, and like tested the different frequencies that people worry about with like CD bit rate and shit like that. And like she got more than half of it right, but she still got a bunch wrong too. So it's just like, you know, like even the most rightest person could be wrong with that shit. Like at the end of the day, really what matters more than any frequency levels and all this other shit is the feeling that you give people with the music that you make.
But it's also just like, if motherfuckers is really gonna be listening on TikTok and Instagram and all this shit to your shit,
Also,
yo, or Spotify does some shit where you could throw in a FLAC of hike whatever, and it's gonna clip it to whatever its standard is that sounds shittier than whatever the file you put in is anyway. So then that's who's listening to it, you know? Like, to me, it's like I'm just curious, you know? Sorry, go on.
I'm just gonna throw this out here. This is some crazy shit. You know, those outlets like TikTok, specifically TikTok, which I'm going to throw in here too. If anybody's really listening or paying attention, my album is actually already out on TikTok.
Say word.
So there's a minute. It allows you to play each song for a minute. So there's a minute sample of the whole album, 4 songs for Castle Face. It's on TikTok.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing.
Say word.
When we end this interview.
What I'm doing right now is my nephew, he's kind of like, he's doing this thing on TikTok. TikTok gives him a check every, I don't know, a couple months, or I don't know how often he gets paid, but he's getting an income from TikTok and doing videos and sponsorships. And so I'm working with him right now to try to make one of these songs viral, because it's actually it's on there. It's like on fucking TikTok. And I read it, and I think, you know what? I was like, my old dude mentality kicked in at first. It was like, fuck, I gotta get that shit off there. Why is that shit on there? And then I'm just like, nah, wait a minute. This just could be really beneficial, actually. Not only is it on there for a minute, like each song is a minute, but that's just free promotion. Like, and TikTok world is so crazy. It is the market as far as social media. That shit has so much reach. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. So
plus,
if anybody in Capital Face is out,
monetized spins for you if people use it. It's not the same as Spotify, but if you get like 1 million spins on TikTok, that's a check.
Yeah.
Just I learned about micro syncs recently, and I'm like, that's fascinating. Even the reels, just like making reels of your own music, in theory, it contributes to this.
Yeah, if that shit hits, it hits. It don't matter where it's at. Why would you limit yourself? You know, why would you do that? And these new outlets that we have, earlier I spoke on not having these outlets, and now trying to navigate through these new outlets has definitely become a daily practice. I got to step out of the world sometimes because I'm a real person, and then because I feel like this social media world is very dangerous, you know, but it's so necessary in this day and age for music and artists, and such a real key tool that we need.
Underutilized. Listen, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your art, you as a person, and because I also appreciate you as a person, I also know that we're both limited on time. Right. So we're gonna cut it here, and we're gonna leave it open because we still got to pick up after high school into college years. This leaves it perfectly open for the next, you know what I mean, interview, maybe after you drop Castle Face, or when there's a visual that you really want to, you know what I mean, push even more. But let's cut it here, and to be continued.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I definitely appreciate it. And honestly, you're such a inspiring person to talk to. Your energy is proper, and not everybody's energy in life is quite that level of proper. So it's great to know you, honestly.
Absolute pleasure.
Totally understand the need to wake up super early for airplanes and appreciate your time and stuff. So that makes you a trooper. And thank you for giving part of yourself to us like that. That's really dope of you.
I appreciate it.
So and thank y'all for watching. because there's still people watching with us, and that's always fun. And all the people in the future watching, because you're all also wonderful people. Shout out to End of the Week for hosting this. You can catch them at /eodub.com. All the shit's on their website. And yo, that's real dope of y'all. Anyway, so thanks everybody again. Thank you, Uriel. Do you have any last words for the people?
Castle Face drops July 16th. The single Symptoms is on iTunes right now. And if you like it, share it. Hit me up. If you need a tattoo, holla at your boy, Castle Face.
Yo, so take care, everyone, and live long and prosper.